Hello and welcome to a quick tutorial on embedding. I had some great questions in my TED Talks flipped course, and so I'm making this video to kind of share some tricks on embedding. So let's take a look at embedding. What you see here is embedded content. I've got an embedded video that actually will play in line, and here is an example of an image that has been embedded, but the image can also be made so that it clicks and will actually open up new content. And so the image actually will open up that TED Talk if you don't want it to play in line. I also always put a text link that will do the exact same thing. So if you want to get there and for some reason it doesn't play across browsers, you at least have the link. Now, speaking of browsers, the tricks that I'm going to show you in this video will work in, this is Google Chrome. These same tricks will work in, this is Firefox, and these tricks also work in Safari. I do not have Microsoft's Edge because I'm running a Mac here and Edge is not available for Macs. Let's take a look at how embedding works. So I'm going to go in and edit this, and this works across Blackboard. Many of you are used to the WYSIWYG engine. Now I've written the word WYSIWYG here in bold. WYSIWYG stands for what you see is what you get. Now you notice that this is bold. I could underline it, and I'd use this little feature right here because what I see, if I want underlined, I underline it. It's a what you see is what you get. You don't need to know anything about computer code or anything. Now behind the scenes, all of this is code, and over here in Blackboard, a lot of people are unaware, this HTML code view allows you to see what's happening behind the scenes. Anyways, all of this crazy code, that's what's happening to make this web page look like this. And the good news is you don't need to know anything about code to use code. And I'm going to show you some of those tricks today. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about embedding links, embedding images, and embedding actual inline videos that will play right inside of Blackboard. So let's take a look step by step. First thing I need to do is I need to find a video that I want to use. And so if I have a video, say for example David Pogue's TED Talk, I can just get the link to David Pogue's TED Talk. Now there are different ways to get the link. One is to copy it right from the URL, and so what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and highlight this and I'll hit Control Copy or Command Copy. And then I can come back over here, and I'll tell you what, since I'm going to redo all this, I'm going to delete everything I've done in this particular embedding 101. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a link. So this is a link to our video. Now this is just text right now. If I want to make it a link, I have to highlight it and say turn it into a link. And this is where I'm going to paste that URL that I got. I'm also going to tell it to open up in a new window. That way students, when they click on it, it'll actually open up a new window up here for them to see what they're looking for, right? And that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to embed a picture. And so, for example, let's say I go to Google. Okay, Google, David Pogue, 10 things. Okay, so here's David Pogue, and I'm going to look for images on that. Let's say I like, here's this TED Talk picture right here. And if I like this image, what I can do is I can right-click, or on a Mac, control-click, and copy the image URL. Now again, that's the image URL. That tells the computer where to look for that image. I can go back into Blackboard, and in the WYSIWYG engine, you have this tool right here that's a picture tool, and it basically is going to ask you, where do you want to get the image? Remember, we copied that image URL, so I'm going to paste that in. I'm going to say that it's a David Pogue image, right, for ADA information. I'm also going to change I'm going to go to appearance. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Instead of 800 by 600, I'm just going to make this 300. And as long as I have this constrained portions checked, as soon as I click out of that, you'll notice that it'll match the size. And so now I have this image that plays right into my embed. But I can do more with that. You may remember that we have the link. Remember we have this link that we copied? Well, we can actually make this actual image linkable by clicking on the link. Remember, always open it up in a blank. That way it opens up in a new window for your students. Now that's another way to play images inline. I actually prefer to embed the actual video so it plays right inside of the content that my students are seeing. And so the way I do that is I go and I get the embed code. Now, embed code often looks like this. You'll see a little note that looks like this. And the embed code often starts with this word iframe. You can choose the size of the video you want to put in. I'm going to choose a 560 by 315. I'm going to copy this embed code. Now if you're on a regular YouTube page and you go down to where it says share, if you click on where it says embed, you can get that same exact code. You don't need to know anything about the code to use this trick. You just need to know that there is code. And so once you copy the code, you come back over to Blackboard and you click on HTML view. Now remember, in the HTML view, you have all this code. Well, again, you don't need to know anything about code. You just need to paste, or Control V or Command V, if you're on a Mac, paste the code. Again, you don't know anything about it. You just pasted it in there, and when you click update, all of a sudden, what you have is you have something that looks like it's ready to play. Now, it's not going to go live until you actually submit it. Once you submit that content, what you should notice now is that you have your link, which will work. You're going to have the picture, which again, if you click on that, that will open up in a new window as well. And then you also have your video that plays in line. Now, one last trick for those of you who are paying attention. Sometimes you've got a lot of text in your post and you want to put a video in with all this text. Well, let me show you a trick for that. When you go into edit and you have all this text and you want your video to play in line somewhere in the text, here's a trick that I use. I find the spot in the text where I want the video to go, and I simply type in anything that I'll know what it is. I'll go TTTT. How about that? And then when I go over to the HTML view, I'm going to be looking for that TTTT. Now, here it is. And if I don't want to actually read for it, I can use the computer to read for me by hitting either Control F or Command F on a Mac and then typing in TTTT, and notice the computer read and found that for me. Now, once I find that information, what I do is I highlight it, and that's where I paste in the code. Again, I don't need to know anything about the code other than I paste it in. When I update, now all of a sudden, my video is there, and when I submit it, I then have my video playing in the middle of all my text. And that's how you can embed videos in Blackboard. All right, I hope that helps. Bye-bye.